Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at our next business success webinar this morning. We'll go ahead and briefly start with housekeeping rules. And first off, thank you all for attending today's session. So really briefly, just wanted to mention we have the chat feature or the Q&A feature down below. If you have any questions or any comments for today's presenters, you could go ahead and enter those in. Today we are talking about how to create a successful SEO campaign. So with Mountain View Media as our presenters. And make sure you be on the lookout for our post-event email, which will contain today's recording and slides for the presentation. So with that, I'll go ahead and introduce Jeremy, who will be presenting today's session, and we'll go ahead and officially kick it off. Thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you. So today we are going to be going over creating a successful SEO campaign. Search engine optimization is definitely one of those hot topics that's been going around for a while now. A lot of businesses need it, and especially with the pandemic, everybody is moving almost primarily to digital marketing means, and search engine optimization is one of the most powerful channels that you can use in order to market your business. So a little bit about myself before we begin. I'm a digital marketing expert with over 10 years of experience. I've helped hundreds of businesses over those past 10 years, generating tens of millions of dollars in revenue through digital marketing. As of the end of 2020, I'm at over $52 million in generated revenue. And I work with businesses of all sizes, from single startups, small businesses, all the way up to franchises and enterprises. So I have a lot of experience working with a wide range of budgets and a wide range of businesses in different life cycles. So what we're going to be covering today, we're going to do an overview of SEO, what it is, why you need it, and some common misconceptions just to clear up some of those right out the gate. And then we're going to get into the SEO process, and I've broken it down into 8 different steps. So the first one is your website design, and then we go into competitor research, keyword research, creating a website sitemap, technical SEO, on-page SEO, authority building, and how to analyze the results of your SEO campaign. So what is SEO? Okay, well, search engine optimization is the process of nourishing and growing your website so that it ranks highly in search engines. The ultimate goal of an SEO campaign is to rank #1 for keywords related to your business. This will help generate free traffic to your website, increasing leads and in turn new customers. Now, the reason why free is kind of in quotes there is because while the traffic being generated is free, you still have to either pay for somebody to optimize your site in order to generate that traffic, or you have to put in your own sweat equity into optimizing your website. So unlike paid advertising where you are paying for that traffic to come to your website, the traffic from SEO is free. When your website is properly optimized for a keyword, it will start to rank in the SERPs. And SERP just stands for Search Engine Results Page. This is the page that shows up after you hit enter on Google when you type something in. Now, even with the ads in the local map pack above the organic results, 70% of users skip over those and go directly to the organic results. And that's because everybody knows that the organic results are the more trustworthy inside of the mind of a consumer. People know nowadays ads are being paid for. They know that even the map pack can be paid for. And so people usually skip those and go down to the organic results. And that's why it's really important to be organically ranking for these keywords instead of buying an ad space for it. So why do you need SEO? Well, SEO makes up 50% of all website traffic on average. And again, this traffic is called organic traffic. Unlike an advertising campaign where the traffic stops as soon as you reach your budget cap or you stop the ad campaign entirely, the only limitation to the amount of traffic SEO generates comes down to how well it's performing in search engines. And then there's a few common misconceptions about SEO that I like to clear up right at the start. Amazing results happen overnight. SEO is a very long-term campaign. In fact, it's almost an indefinite campaign. It's something that you're constantly having to invest in. Google themselves, they have their webmaster channel on YouTube, and they posted a video a few years ago explaining that SEO can take anywhere between 4 to 12 months just to start seeing results from it. And again, that's because we're dealing with the Google search engine algorithms. So it's almost like you're dealing with an organic, living, breathing thing. It takes time to start to see some results. Building authority isn't worth it. And we get into what authority is a little bit later on, but your website authority is your trustworthy ranking inside of Google. It's an invisible number. You don't really know what it is, but it's highly based off of your backlink portfolio. And again, that's something that we get into a little bit later on. But this is one of those parts to an SEO campaign that a lot of people leave out. They do the technical optimizations, they do the on-page optimizations, but then they don't actually invest into a link building campaign to build up their authority. And that's where a lot of the SEO campaigns fall flat. SEO is a one-time service. Again, SEO is an ongoing process. A lot of people get the misconception that, oh, well, you just come to my website, I pay you to optimize it, and then it's done, and I'll start ranking. But really, the reality is that technical optimizations have to be happening every single month. You can fix all of the issues, and then the next month run another audit on the website and find even more issues, even new issues that pop up. The content on the website has to be optimized. So it's a monthly service that a lot of people provide, but it's if you want to do it yourself, it's one of those things where you constantly have to be on top of it. um, and through analyzing the results, which is the last thing that we talk about in this presentation, that shows you, sort of how well you're performing and what you need to improve on your website. The next thing is the website needs to be crammed full of keywords. Now, this used to be a tactic used way back in the day where if you wanted to try to rank for keywords, you just stuffed as many as you possibly could on the page. That's not really how it works anymore. Nowadays, it is very content driven. Google likes to have really good content ranking on its search engines. And this tactic of cramming keywords onto your page is actually penalized nowadays. So it's very important to be careful of that. The next one is internal linking is a waste of time. This goes towards the on-page optimizations. Internal linking, just like the internet itself is just a bunch of websites linking to each other. Internal linking is all of your pages inside of your website linking to each other. There, Google has what's called a page rank. So not only does it have an overall trustworthiness factor and authority of your website as a whole, each one of your pages has its own page rank. And the only way that you can sort of spread that page rank to other pages is through that internal linking. So again, this is just linking to other pages on your website that may be related to the content that you're talking about. So for instance, let's say, and throughout this entire presentation, I just used landscaping as an example, a landscaping company. But let's say, you're talking about one of your landscaping services, and then inside of that you link to a blog post that you posted about some sort of statistics about what type of grass is best to grow for your location or something like that. So by internally linking, you're able to spread out that page rank throughout the entirety of your website. So if you've got one page that's ranking really well, really well, you can share that with other pages to help other pages rank really well as well. And then cheap SEO will get me number one. Business owners today get bombarded by emails from India about really cheap SEO. Oh, I can get you to rank number one for $250 a month or $400 a month or something like that. And the reality of the situation is that, if somebody is sending you a cheap proposal for SEO and they're guaranteeing results for you, that means that they're using black hat techniques in order to get you to rank very, very highly. Black hat techniques will ultimately lead in penalties for your website, or even a complete ban from Google for your website. So while cheap SEO, yes, it will get you to number one, but for a very limited time before Google actually bans your website. So it's very important, if you do outsource your SEO, to make sure that you have a company that is doing just pure white hat SEO, which means that they follow the sort of code of conduct, if you will, of Google. They don't break any of the policies, and they follow all of the rules that are set in place. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the SEO process. Now, before we can even start on the SEO campaign, you have to take a good hard look at your website, because your website's going to be the hub of everything that you do. And if you have a bad website, um, you know, if you're trying to push traffic to a website that's broken, that doesn't look very good, that's hard to navigate, that's a really bad user experience, um, you're going to be losing a lot of traffic. You're going to be losing a lot of potential customers. So you want to make sure that you have a good website before you start trying to generate traffic to it. And there's a few key factors that you want to make sure that you get right to make sure that your website's a good user experience and that it's ready for an SEO campaign. So some things that we like to look at are making sure that you've got a modern designed website, which just means that it follows the current design trends. It looks good. Um, Usually, every 3 to 5 years, you want to update your website's design. It doesn't mean you have to completely overhaul it and completely redesign it, but just having some upkeep, adding in some different elements if the design language has changed, and just staying on top of the actual design. Next is responsive design. This just means making sure that your website looks good and functions on mobile devices, so phones, tablets, just as well as it does on the desktop. Making sure that your website is scalable. You want your website to be able to grow with your business. You don't want to have to rebuild your website on a new system every time you hit a new growth milestone, right? So building on, let's say, like a CMS like WordPress. WordPress is infinitely scalable. I run multiple multi-million dollar e-commerce sites through WordPress. It can handle a ton of traffic, and it's perfect for businesses who want to save money in the long run. Next is speed optimization. So making sure that your website loads quickly. We get into this a little bit further on, but you want to make sure that each page takes on average of about 3 seconds or less to load. I would say that anywhere above 3 seconds is kind of the danger zone. So you want to make sure that you're optimizing your pages. Make sure that your website has clear communication. This, simply put, it just means, if you're a landscaping company, make sure that your website shows that you do landscaping services and that you don't sell landscaping products. Just make sure it's very, very clear what you do, what you're able to provide to the visitor. And also having a clear USP. So this is your unique selling proposition and what sets you apart from all of your competitors. Why should a visitor choose your company over a rival company, right? And then the last thing is just making sure that the design is conversion optimized. And that pretty much just means making sure there's call to actions on your website, and making sure that it's extremely easy for a visitor to give you their contact information or to make purchases on your website. So the next step is competitor research. Okay, competitor research allows you to get an idea of how well your direct competitors are performing inside of search engines. You can also research their domain authority, look at their backlink profiles, see the keywords they're ranking for, and even how much traffic each of those keywords are generating for them. And the best tool to use for this is called SEMrush. But there are some free tools that you can actually use, and a popular choice being Ubersuggest. Now, I personally use Ubersuggest. It's extremely, extremely easy, and that's what we're going to be showing in the presentation. If you do have some money to spend, the basic SEMrush is $99 a month, but it gives you so much information that it's a really, really good tool to utilize if you can afford it. However, if you can't, the free option I suggest again is Ubersuggest. But before we jump into Uber Suggest, let's see how you can do some basic research just using Google. So in order to find your direct competitors in a search engine, it's as easy as typing in your industry or your service in a location. So again, for this instance, I'm using a landscaping company in Sarasota. Um, so we can skip over the business listing sites like Home Advisor or Yelp because we want to find actual business websites. And the first one that shows up here is Tropical Gardens Landscape. Okay. And we want to look at roughly the 10 best ranking competitors. And what we're trying to do here is to try and find patterns in things like their title tags, their meta descriptions, any schema features. And then just to break each one of those down, the title tag is the link that you actually click on for the result here. The meta description is kind of like a brief synopsis of the page and what it's about. And then the schema features are kind of like little extra goodies that you can code into your page that Google may pull out. And it just kind of enhances your result there inside of search engines and it makes you stand out a little bit more. There's a ton of different featured snippets that can pop up as well. But this one here is a links. So these are pretty common to have inside of your results. So again, you want to be looking at the title tags for like your 10, the 10 highest um, companies inside of the search engine's results page. You want to look at their meta descriptions, and you want to look at things like where's the keyword being put in here, right? So again, we typed in landscaping Sarasota, so we want to see, okay, well, this title tag has landscaping in Sarasota in it. It also has that in the meta description, and in fact, it bolds the keyword that you searched for. So those are some things that you want to look at to see what's everybody doing, and if you can find a pattern there. So after you find those patterns, we want to do a deep dive into each one of these competitors. And so again, we're going to be using Uber Suggest because this is free and you can use this as well. And the link for this is neilpatel.com/Uber Suggest, or simply just Google Uber Suggest, and it should be the first one that pops up. And to get started, all you have to do is type in the competitor's website into that orange bar in the center, and it brings up a dashboard that looks like this. Um, this is where we can actually see the performance of your competitor's website. So we can see roughly how many keywords it's ranking for, what is the organic monthly traffic estimate, what is the domain authority for the website, and how many backlinks that it has. So again, the keywords, how many keywords it's ranking for, the organic traffic, that's how much estimated traffic that website gets every month. The domain score is out of 100, so it's on a scale from 0 to 100. This particular website has a very low domain score of a 6, which is actually very common for small businesses. So we can see that even though they're ranking number 1 organically, they have a very, very small domain authority. Mainly what we want to do in the competitor research area is looking at the keywords that they are ranking for. Because this is going to start to blend into our keyword research step, because this will help us understand what keywords we want to try to optimize for. And with Uber Suggest, you can view all of the keywords that the website's ranking for, and it gives you how much search volume each keyword has, where the website ranks for it, how many visitors they get from each keyword, and how difficult it is to rank for each keyword. Not only that, but it also shows the results page for that keyword, allowing you to further view who else ranks for those keywords and how much traffic it's generating. So on the right-hand side there, it actually pulls from the Google API what the search engine results are for that specific keyword. So as you're doing some keyword research here, on your competitor, you can see who else is ranking for those keywords. So it's very, very easy to get sucked into the rabbit hole when you start doing keyword research. And that's what we're going to dive into next. So keyword research will help you put together a list of all the keywords you want to try to rank for in the search engines. And what you want to keep in mind when generating your keyword lists is to think like your customer. What would they search for in order to find your business? It's very, very easy for somebody who's an expert in their industry who runs a business to get stuck using the industry lingo. You may call something the technical term, but a customer may not know that technical term. So they may search for that service in a different way. So you have to try to think like your customer, to think, what would somebody put into Google in order to find what I can offer? Um, and so for local service businesses, your keywords will primarily consist of a service plus location. For example, landscaping in Sarasota, Sarasota landscaping, irrigation company in Sarasota, etc. Um, so with keywords, there are short tail keywords and there are long tail keywords. Short tail keywords are search terms with one or two words. They have really high search volume, but are much harder to rank for, and also have a much lower conversion rate. And the reason is because they're so broad, right? With long tail keywords, these are search terms with three or more words in it. They're much more specific keywords that have lower search volume, but much higher conversion rates because they are more specific. Now, location-based keywords are almost inherently long-tail keywords. And the great part about focusing on long-tail keywords is that you inherently rank for a short-tail version of that keyword. So in fact, like for instance, let's say instead of trying, if you sell clothing, instead of trying to rank your t-shirt for the keyword blue shirt, try to get very, very specific for that keyword. Instead of blue shirt, try to rank for, I don't know, Tommy Hilfiger light blue polo or something like that. It really it narrows down the people who are searching for it, and you get more specific people coming to your website, people specifically looking for that item instead of just a blue shirt in general. So now we're going to get into how to do keyword research if you just have no idea where to even start. So on top of doing it through the competitor analysis with Ubersuggest, you can also use another free tool, and this is called the Google Keyword Planner. Now, this is part of the Google Ads, so you will have to sign up for a Google Ads account. That is also free. And if you're looking into digital marketing, Google Ads is a great way to go. Usually, for a good campaign, you have both SEO and advertising going at the same time. Um, but once you sign up for your ads account, you're gonna click on the tools and settings box at the top. And then on the left-hand side under the planning tab, you're gonna click on keyword planner. Okay. So from here, we're gonna click on the discover new keywords, and it's gonna bring up a little window there. And you want to start with keywords with that are related to your services. So Google will actually try to bring up the most relevant keywords based on the services that you enter. Now, if you click on Start with a Website, which is the one on the right, that allows you just to copy and paste your URL, and then Google will try to generate keywords based on the content of your website. This is a little bit less defined, so I would always recommend starting with keywords. And so what I do is I just start typing in all of the different services or products that you offer. From there, Google will use you want to separate those with commas. Google will use those commas to separate the keywords, which you can see as bubbles here with the keywords inside of them. Then because you only service a specific area, so let's say, if you're not a national company or a global company, but you only service a specific area, you can, underneath those keywords that you typed in, there's a location filter. So you click on where it says United States, as it has by default, and it opens up this new window where you can actually filter all of the results down to a very specific location. So again, this fictitious landscaping company is based in Sarasota, Florida, so that's what we're going to click on. And then we want to make sure that we remove the United States country there so that we're focused only on the searches coming from Sarasota. So we're going to go ahead and save that, click on results, and that's going to bring us to this table. So again, what we're looking for are keywords with high average monthly volume. And that's going to be the column on the right hand side here. So you can see, average monthly searches anywhere from 100 to 1,000 per month, 10 to 100. Um, Again, with localized keywords, they're going to have a much smaller search volume than the short tail keywords. And again, landscaping, the very first keyword, landscaping, this again is only people in that area that we filtered to searching for our services. So only people in Sarasota that are typing in landscaping, only people in Sarasota looking for irrigation, and this really, really helps because it is giving you very specific information. You could have keywords that are more popular in other areas, but that may be irrelevant to the actual people who you are trying to service. So the next step here, once you get all of the keywords that you want to try to rank for, is to build out a sitemap for your website. Okay? And a website sitemap is essentially just a list of all the pages on your website. You want to assign the keywords that we found to pages that you already have, and then create new pages for keywords that don't fit any current page. And the purpose of creating a sitemap helps you organize and think through your campaign before you actually start implementing it. And this is an example of what a sitemap would look like as you're kind of building it out. It can be easily created in Excel or Google Sheets. And a very basic SEO sitemap would include things like your page title, a link to that page. So what the slug is, and the slug is essentially everything after your initial domain and then the forward slash. So here the domain would be bestlandscapingcompany.com. The slug would be anything after the .com. And the slug, you want to make sure that you kind of incorporate your keyword into that slug, because again, that's something that Google looks at when it's trying to determine the optimization of that page for the specific keyword. And then on the right hand side, what I like to do is I just like to put the keyword that I'm actually trying to rank for that page. And then you can go through and you can see, okay, do I have that keyword somewhere in in the slug? Sometimes you can't fit it in. It doesn't make sense to put it in there. Other times, like tree trimming Sarasota or tree removal Sarasota, it makes perfect sense because that's the name of your service. So there's definitely an art to it, but just as much as it is technical, which brings us into technical SEO. So now that all the planning and the preparation has been completed, the next step is to actually implement the strategy. So everything that we've talked about up until this point has just been preparation and research. Now we're actually going to start working on the site. And technical SEO should always be the first step in the implementation because it focuses on the foundation of your website. It focuses on the core, on the actual coding and structure of the site. Um, so to begin the technical SEO process, an audit must be performed on the website. Now, I personally use SEMrush to generate these audits. They have one of the best website auditor out there. There are some free tools out there again that you can use if you just Google SEO audit or website audit. There's a lot of free tools that you can use. SEMrush, however, is just one of those very, very good tools out there, but again, it's expensive. On the bright side, though, while SEMrush is not free, you can still get a 7-day free trial. You still have to put your credit card information in and everything. And I think they make like a $1 charge just to make sure that the card is legitimate. But you get a 7-day free trial where if you want to run a technical audit, if you want to try and do some competitor research and keyword research with this tool, you can. And then once you're done with it, you can just cancel the account. But as far as free options go, options like SE Optimer, if you just Google SE Optimer, it's a free audit tool. It's a lot more basic, but it still gives you some fundamental technical issues that you can fix. So after performing a technical audit, you're going to receive a report with the findings, errors, and again, this is just for SEMrush, and it kind of breaks it down into 3 sections. Each one is more important than the last. So errors are items that need to be fixed immediately. These are major issues with the website. Warnings are items of medium importance. They do need to get fixed, but they're not quite a high priority. And then notices are items that may need to be fixed, but could also be perfectly fine. So through this, we actually go through, if we were to be doing the technical SEO, we do monthly audits on the website to keep everything up to date. We fix any issues that pop up and keep the website technically optimized. And then again, we're going to come back to the SERP result here. So the slug is the URL of the page, and that is at the little black URL at the top. The title tag, again, this just tells Google and users what the page is all about. And then the meta description is a brief synopsis of the page. Now, when we're doing the SEO, you want to make sure that you give Google a meta description, but for the majority of the time, Google actually just scrapes your page and puts in a meta description that it thinks fits that page. So sometimes it uses the meta description that you put in. Other times, it actually just creates its own meta description for that. So if we actually look in the website now, this is a WordPress website with the Yoast SEO tool installed, which is the tool that we use to optimize websites. And the great thing about this tool is that it really makes optimizing a lot easier and a lot more efficient. And it helps people who really want to try and do it themselves. However, if you're not familiar with search engine optimization or you don't really know what you're doing, obviously hiring a company to do this will be a lot more efficient. You'll get much better results from it. But the keyword up at the top, that is, this tells Google and users what search terms the page is trying to target. And as far as this goes, you only want to try and rank for one keyword per page. Um, Title tags, this tells Google and users what the page is all about. Again, so that is the link that we showed in the previous slide. The slug or the URL of the page, again, that's what shows up after the .com. And then the meta description. This is where you get to type in the brief synopsis of the page. And you'll notice some green, almost progress bars underneath the SEO title and the meta description. Now, there's a sweet spot of how many characters your SEO title should be and how many characters your meta description can be. There is a maximum number of characters because if you go over that, you'll end up with a title tag or a meta description that has the ... in it. So you want to make sure that everything you're writing is visible when somebody looks at it. You don't want important information being cut off at the end. And so those green bars actually tell you how full the title is or the description is. If it turns red, it means that you need to either shorten it. If it's yellow, the bar will be, maybe halfway completed. It means you got to add a little bit more to it because again, Google likes content. So you got to find that sweet spot, which is as close to full as possible without going over. And the last technical optimization, excuse me. The last technical optimization would be to add alt attributes to any of your images. And an alt attribute tells search engines what the picture is about. Putting your keyword for that page into the alt attribute of an image helps the page rank higher. It also helps the image itself rank for the keyword in Google Images. So for instance, as a landscaping company, let's say it's tree removal. So you've got a picture of you or someone on your team using your equipment. It's got all your branding on it, and it's a picture of you and your team taking down a tree. Right now, if you put, let's say, tree removal Sarasota in there, if somebody types that into Google, you have a chance of your picture actually showing up. Now, a picture is extremely powerful because, the old saying, a picture says a thousand words. And it's a very visual item too. So if somebody's, if you can get an image ranking number one, for your keyword, not only does it help drive traffic to your website, it's a very, visual item that people like to click on. So it's just another way to help you rank within search engines and to drive even more traffic to your website. So the next part is the on-page optimization. So this has to do with all of the content on the page. It includes things like text, images, and videos. With the Yoast SEO plugin, like we were using before, it gives you all of the major on-page optimizations to look for, and it grades your page for each of those items. Now, this is below the search engine snippet editor that we just looked at, where we typed in our keyword, our title tag, and our meta description. And it actually gives us the SEO analysis. And this pops up once we actually put in the keyword. So you can see that for this page, the keyword we're trying to rank for is best landscaping company. And so what this does is it grades our page and it tells us what we're doing well, which is in the green dots, what we could improve, which is the yellowish orange dot, and then things that are just bad that we have to fix, which are the red dots. Now the goal, when optimizing a page, you'll know when your page is fully optimized when that face at the very top next to the SEO analysis turns green. So once he's smiling, you know that that page has been optimized fairly well for that specific keyword. And the way that you make him green is by going down into those analysis results and fixing those issues. So as you continue to fix those issues, you're going to make that smiley face appear. And again, that just means that your page is fully optimized for that specific keyword. So things that it looks for, if we just go through this list real quick, outbound links that are, those are links going to other websites away from your website. So again, let's say if a university does a study on the best type of grass for your specific area, you can talk about the grasses that you provide. Let's say if you do like a landscaping or sodding or something like that, and then you can actually link out to that study on that university page. So that's an outbound link. Google likes to see you linking to other pages. Internal links, we talked about this at the beginning. Again, making sure that you're internally linking your pages together. Um, Key phrase in the subheading. So it actually looks at your headers, the structure of the headers, making sure you're using the proper structure, making sure that your keyword, and the keyword and key phrase are used interchangeably. It means the same thing. Um, making sure that your keyword shows up in some of your subheadings. It looks to see if your images have alt attributes. So if it shows that, oh, hey, 2 pictures are missing alt attributes or no images have alt attributes, make sure you go in there and put those in. It looks at how long the content is. This says you want to have a minimum of 300 words on that page, which is fairly easy to do unless it's like a simple contact page. A contact page, it's really hard to get a ton of words on because it's just a contact form, maybe a phone number, an email address, your physical address. So that would be one instance where having a red dot is okay. Key phrase in the slug, again, that is the URL bit. You want to make sure that your keyword or your key phrase is in there. Having your keyword in the introduction, which is just the first paragraph of your website. Again, we're just reiterating that the page is all about that one keyword. And then it also grades your technical SEO with the title tag and the meta description. It says, okay, keywords in there. It's an exact match keyword, and the lengths are good. So all of this just to optimize one single page. Now, on average, in order to fully optimize a page, it can take anywhere between 4 to 6 hours per page to get it perfectly optimized. And so that's really, one of those things to consider if you want to try to do it yourself, or if you want to try to hire an external, let's say an agency like Mountain View Media to do the SEO. It is very time consuming, but it's well worth it in the long run. All right, and then we're going to talk about off-page optimization or authority building. So this is everything that happens off of your website. So again, authority is the trustworthiness of your website. Google's job is to serve its users the most relevant and the most trustworthy information. It doesn't want to serve its users information that could be incorrect, right? It doesn't want to serve information from a website that has a history of providing bad information. And the main deciding factor of your trustworthiness is your backlink portfolio. There's a lot of other factors like how old your website is, but aside from the age of your website, your backlink portfolio is the only thing that you can really actively work on, and it's extremely important to actually work on it. So a backlink is a link that comes to your website from a different website, and you can think of it like a referral. So let's say I need to look for a new dentist. So if I go to a friend and I say, hey, who's your dentist? Do you like your dentist, or can you recommend me a good dentist? And he'll give me the dentist business card. If I go to somebody else and again I ask, hey, I need a dentist, can you recommend somebody? If they give me the same business card for the same dentist, I'm starting to think, okay, this dentist must be pretty good. And Google does the same thing with the keywords. It looks at all of the other websites, and if that website says, hey, this company knows about this keyword, the more websites that are pushing towards your website for specific keywords, building out those backlinks, Google then thinks, hey, this website is a trustworthy source of information for this keyword. And as you continue to build that trustworthiness, your overall domain authority starts to increase. Okay, now an example of a backlink would be from the Chamber of Commerce. So if you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, somewhere on their website they have a list of all of the businesses who are registered, right? And usually in that list they have the business name and the contact information of that business, and then a website URL, a link to that business's website. So that is a really good backlink to have, because usually the Chamber of Commerce websites themselves have high authorities. So that kind of leads me into how do you actually get those backlinks? For local businesses, one of the first things you can do is start creating profiles on business listing sites like Angie's List, Yelp, Thumbtack, Front Porch, etc. There are tools available to actually help you get these listings created. One of those is Moz Local. It will create listings for you on over 80 websites, all of which create local backlinks to you. And what this does is it establishes your website as a bona fide local business. One of the big things that you can do too is setting up a Google My Business listing. Now, Google My Business is free. All you have to do is go to business.google.com, sign up for it. Sometimes it already has a listing for your business, and it's as simple as just typing in your business name into Google. And on the right hand side, it'll show up if you have a business listing or not. If you do, you can click on manage this listing. It'll take you through a verification process to prove that you actually are able to manage that, and that company is you. Otherwise, if it's not there, you can sign up. Now, once you sync your Google My Business listing to your website, um, and you verify your business, you automatically get a boost in your SEO performance because Google knows that you're a legitimate local business. So that is a huge thing that you can do to just immediately improve the ranking of your website, just by linking your Google My Business to your website. The other method that we can get to get backlinks is through guest blog posts, and this is going to be the primary method. Those what we talked about before with those local listings, those are what's called citations. Again, those are just verifying your business as a local business. So that helps you rank better in the Google Map Pack, and also for just localized keywords. But everybody, all of your competitors are already doing that, right? So that's just the first step. Now you actually have to continue getting and building out your backlink portfolio. And again, that's how you do it through guest blog posts. So a guest blog post is when you reach out to another website and ask them to post a blog post with a link back to your website. Now, in an ideal world, what Google wants is for somebody to have a really good experience with you, and they go on. So let's say, um, I don't know, somebody owns um, a DIY or just like a home improvement type blog where they talk about all things home improvement, and they hired you to redo their yard or to take down some trees or something, and they had a wonderful experience with you. So they go to their blog and they write a whole blog post about the tree removal process that you guys did, and they put a link back to your website. That's how Google wants it to happen. It wants it to happen organically, but that almost never happens in the real world. So you have to pay for these, unless you personally know the owner of the website and they're willing to do it for you. Authority building is a very slow process, and anyone guaranteeing you thousands of backlinks to increase your authority should be avoided like the plague, right? These cheap link building services will ultimately land your websites with penalties, which results in drastically lowered rankings or even, again, having your website de-indexed and banned by Google. So this is another one of those emails you may be getting, the link building and, oh, I can get you, thousands of links. I know a lot of small businesses that I've dealt with recently have gone to freelance websites like Upwork or Fiverr to do link building. They spend, $1,000. They get, thousands of backlinks. They skyrocket into the rankings for a little bit, and then all of a sudden their website disappears. So doing a link cleaning process is extremely expensive, time consuming, and tedious. So you're going to end up spending even more money in the long run if you go with a cheap link building service than if you went with a proper company like us, for instance, who do it the right way. Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive up front, but it's a lot cheaper than having to go through an entire link cleaning, if you went with a cheap option. So the last thing we're going to talk about is how to analyze the results on an ongoing basis to improve your SEO. And it's extremely important to do this. This is kind of half the battle here, is knowing how well you're performing and where you can improve that performance. Now, when we talk about results with SEO, especially in the first few months of a campaign, the results don't necessarily mean how many new customers you got from SEO, right? The way that we measure results in an SEO campaign is by the continuous growth and increased performance in the search engines. So that means increased rankings, increased keywords, those sorts of things. Because over time, that will turn into new customers. But again, when we're talking about SEO performance and results, we're really looking at the performance within the search engines, not necessarily how much business you got from it. Now, the tool that we use, again, this is free. You can connect it to your website. It's called Google Search Console. It's very much like Google Analytics. If you don't have Google Analytics integrated, absolutely get that integrated as well. Google Analytics gives you all of the information about the traffic coming to your website. It tells you, how long people spend on your website, what pages people go to, all of that fun stuff. But Google Search Console is specifically your performance inside of the search engines and all of the information you could possibly need about how you're performing inside of the Google search engine itself. So things that you'll be able to see in here, and this is just a very basic overview because we don't really have time to do a deep dive. But some things that you'll see here is like a performance graph. It shows you how many clicks you got for the given time range that you set up, how many impressions, which is how many times your website has actually shown up inside of searches. And then it does some quick math and it tells you what your click-through rate is. So out of how many impressions, how many people actually clicked on your website, and then what the average position is of your website. Now, when you're ranking for thousands and thousands of keywords, you can't expect that average position to be very high. That being around 40 is about average when you're ranking for a ton of keywords. Um, but what we want to do is in the next slide, we actually can look at each keyword individually and see how well is each keyword performing? What page is ranking for which keyword, or what pages are showing up for a keyword? Because you could have multiple pages showing up for a single keyword. Where is your website showing up the most? What devices are people looking at your website more from, mobile devices or from desktop? And that allows you to optimize your website for the majority of your customers. Now, um, if you're a business that deals with consumers, your website, 80 to 90% of your traffic will be coming from mobile devices. Now, if you deal with other businesses, if you're B2B, the majority of your customers will actually be coming from desktop. So it just helps you to optimize your website based on the actual people who are coming to your site. So this has been a very quick and brief introduction to search engine optimization. We took you through the entire process of how to set up a successful campaign. If you are interested for more information, or if you want to learn a little bit more about us, or you want to even hire us to do some SEO work for you, feel free to reach out to us. We're giving away free consultations. So you can call us at 480-315-1533, or you can reach out to Jane directly at jane@mountainviewmedia.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeremy. This was really informative and lots of information. So we have some time now for questions. So make sure to put them in the chat, Q&A, or if you'd like to ask Jeremy directly, make sure to raise your hand. We have that feature where we could have you unmuted and ask away directly. So Jeremy, while we wait for questions, can you provide us with any last minute resources or any closing remarks for our attendees today?
Sure. I would say one of the very first things that you should do as a business owner is to make sure that you have your Google My Business listing created. Again, that's a free resource that you can use, and it's extremely powerful resource. Make sure you have Google Analytics and Google Search Console integrated with your website, because that's going to give you a lot of information um, regarding the analytics of your site. That'll really help out. If you can get that integrated now, it gives you a ton of information. Again, there's a lot of videos out there on how to integrate those into your website. If you've got a WordPress site, you can actually install a plugin called Google Sitekit, and that allows you to sync all of your Google accounts, so your analytics and your Search Console, straight from WordPress, which is really helpful. If anybody has any other questions, again, feel free to write them out now, or you can contact us about it. But I would say those three things are probably the priority that you can do for free right away: is your Google My Business listing, and then integrating Google.
Perfect. Looks like we've gotten a couple questions. First one, any suggestions for a small company with global clientele? And then she's saying most of your comments were for a company serving a specific area.
Yep. So for a global business, you want to, it depends on if you're selling a service or if you're selling products. If you are, or let's say if you're selling services, you want to make sure that you're optimizing your keywords based around those services. So your keyword research process would be identical, only you would remove the location at the end. Um, if you're selling products, again, you would want to make sure that on your inside of your e-commerce, on each product page, that you're optimizing that page for whatever the product may be. um, there is a distinct difference between what we call organic SEO and local SEO. So organic being more of the global side of things, local SEO being localized. The processes are almost identical. The only difference is that instead of targeting a keyword plus location, we're just targeting keyword.
Okay, perfect. And then we have another question. If you serve multiple locations, can you set up the keywords all at one time, or do you need to address in multiple separate sessions?
Yep. So let's say for example, like a franchise, if you've got multiple locations all for, one business, um, all of the keywords are again going to be pretty much identical to each other. The difference there is going to be the location. Um, so for instance, when it comes down to, let's say, the website structure, a lot of franchises will have the big domain. So let's say UPS, right? And then each individual UPS store has their own, what we would call microsite. So it'd be ups.com or the upsstore.com / and then the store number. Now, every single one of those websites are going to be templatized, which means they're pretty much going to be identical. And the only differences between all of the locations are the localized keywords. So instead of, let's say printing in Sarasota or printing in Phoenix, it would be printing in Scottsdale. So when serving multiple locations, you can do your keyword research all at one time, at least up front, and then you can change out those locations with the different locations that you serve. But then from there, what I would recommend is having, so you can set up the initial keywords. But then what I would do is I would go into each location specifically and see what people are searching for in those locations. For instance, using the Google Keyword Planner, people may be searching for a service differently in one location and using different terminologies than they would in a different location. So what that allows you to do is to, even though you're still trying to optimize for the same keywords, you can change the content or change the keyword a little bit to better suit how people are actually searching for that keyword in those different locations.
Great. We have just time for excuse me, we have 3 more minutes for another question. So if anyone would like to have Jeremy answer any last minute questions, include them in the chat, Q&A. Make sure to raise your hand as well. And I don't see any more.
Yeah. And one thing that I'll just leave off with is when it comes to search engine optimization, you can think of your keywords as questions. When people come to Google, they're essentially asking a question. So it may be a little bit easier for people to think of keywords as questions, and then you're trying your best to answer that specific question.
Great. So I think if we don't have any other questions, we'll share Jeremy's information along with Jane, who is also with Mountain View Media, in our post-event email. So if you have anything come up, feel free to contact them directly. But with that, I'll go ahead and wrap up today's presentation. Appreciate the support, Jeremy, Jane. Really great webinar today, and stay tuned for our next business success webinar next week. Make sure to visit our website and be on the lookout for our communications for our next webinars. Hope you all have a great day, and thank you so much again.
Thank you.